Episode 63. And we're back in this with Hippie Trap from New Jersey. What's up, my guy?
Yo, what up? Super pumped to be back, man. Having another chat with you here.
It's been a minute, man. Here we are. It's Sunday, April 13th. This podcast is obviously brought to you by Zest Vodka. Let's get that out the way. Anyways, dude, yeah, man, we were just talking a little bit on the phone, like through text messages about, like, I was like, dude, did you see any of this stuff about Coachella? What? Yeah, just trending news in the EDM community. It's apparently not been the best Coachella ever. Like as we would predict, you know, huge influx of traffic, but bad management of traffic and leading to people to apparently need to use the restroom on the side of the road while they're waiting to get in through the gates. And apparently police got involved with, like, you know, I don't know, people getting in trouble for using the restroom on the side of the road. I don't know. This is all just hearsay.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. Like, it's so funny to hear that, actually, because the first fest I ever went to was Bonnaroo, and the first year I went, and I waited in line for like 12 plus hours. So, like, it sucks to hear that, and I know exactly what those people are going through. And people were doing the same thing. They were, like, on the side of the road. They would hold their tarp up, like their camping tarp, and there would just be a bunch of people peeing there. And then when they finished, they would just, like, fold it all back down.
Well, I mean, good for them for, like, holding it down for their friends, but
the cops weren't coming by also, and then, like, writing tickets or, like, you know, none of that was happening. This is just some back road in Tennessee somewhere, you know?
Yeah, I literally heard about this just earlier today and haven't really had the opportunity to fully get into it. My girlfriend sent me a video of apparently a firework deploying, like a whole set of fireworks deploying, like from, like, what I assume is main stage, if not just some stage. And then one of them shot out into allegedly the artist area. I don't know. It looked bad because it was a huge firework area. I mean, that's what it said. Like, I went back and looked at it because
they had these fireworks they were shooting up, and they were doing this, like, kind of spinning, I think, from what I saw.
But one of them,
must have, you know,
it's like, well, you know, when you see the video,
firework there.
I mean, dare I just pull it back up really quick, because it is absolutely alarming to see this. I mean, let's see what we got here. So, boom, you can see that one. Oh, there it goes. What? That's like a mortar going off. Firework.
But didn't say if anybody was hurt or anything. Or
the comment section is so sad. It's like the firework had a target in mind. Well, someone for sure got a sweet kiss and saw fireworks. Wait, do it again. Crying, laughing emoji, gifs.
Why are people laughing at that? That's my question.
I know, like this is what I'm saying.
Make me feel like, I don't know, it's dangerous to go to shit or something.
It ironically hit Katy Perry, Ramstein approved. I can legit hear Cap and Rex yelling incoming. And then I commented, I said, is everyone okay? Looks like most comments are trying to get likes from being witty, but no concern about serious injury. Why am I not more surprised?
Yeah.
Facepalm emoji. So that's like kind of where that stands right now. I get it. You know, I appreciate comedic relief, but at the same time,
not a single comment was about, like, you know, any concern, because
pretty sure that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But things like that. I mean, outside of that, as we were saying, like, it looked like incredible production value for what it's worth.
Yeah. How much is it to go to Coachella now?
Good question. Probably $1 million with scalpers these days.
$1 million. Sometimes it does get to feeling like we're living in, you know, like Dr. Evil's dream here or something, you know?
Yeah, no, I know, right? It's like,
especially with the ticket scalping.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were talking about the Grizz thing. That sold out like 2 seconds, and the tickets were already like,
yeah. No, that's the whole thing. My last
double, triple the price tag, you know?
Dude, this whole thing came to a head recently with the Kid Rock and Donald Trump sort of executive order thing that was publicized I'm not sure if you've seen this.
I did. I saw it, but
Yeah.
I didn't know what it really entailed besides saying, we recognize we need to do something about this, but will they do something about this? Because
No, see, this is like the whole
Live
thing.
Nation's a corporation, and let's face it, the corporations are who win in the end, not the consumers.
Yeah, so there's apparently a whole rabbit hole behind that. There's like a certain law. I forget the name of the law. It's like somebody's law that was enacted years ago to prevent against things like corporate monopolies. And it seems like it's starting to get to that point with Ticketmaster, even here in the year 2025. Ticketmaster and Live Nation merged, I think in 2009, and that just sort of it led all this into what is now spiraling around ticket gouging and the whole like racket around that. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like, you would think that they'd be putting a stop to this or putting some limitations on it. And after researching, it's like, yeah, they could technically put in a cap behind the percent of a markup that's going in behind these scalpers.
Right.
You know that their programmers could be like, all right, well, we're not going to allow like certain things. It's because of the way ticket transfers work, like you have to officially transfer the ticket within the app itself. So those things have to be verified within the app, which means it boils down to the programmer's standpoint and being like, hey, guess what? Yeah, if you want to resell it, you can't do it for any more than hypothetically 25%. But no, they don't put a stop to that. And all these things bleed into like what now, like conspiracies, like it's an inside job. People are that.
I was sitting here thinking that. So because that goes to tell you how I think about things,
And it sucks, dude. It sucks. It's become a huge issue.
It really is a huge issue. And to take it actually a step further, one thing that I've been reading about too is about how all the small venues, really, there's not any more small venues to go see shows anymore because of that monopoly. Also, they've taken over completely, the live market. It's not just the ticketing with Ticketmaster. It's like, all the venues. And then they're just driving the prices of everything up. Like I think about, is Brooklyn Mirage a Live Nation venue? They might be, but maybe not. But if similar issues of like, it's it's a humongous venue. They just keep making it bigger. And the last time I went there, it was so packed. It was like a little too packed for me.
And this boils down to like, hey, it's 2025. Like, people have standards. Like, the whole Coachella thing. Like, if we were to just take a peek back to Woodstock, like 99, or any of like the Woodstocks prior to that, where little did we know that it was like an S show. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I mean, similar problems, but like in earlier days since, like, hey, guess what? Lack of porta potties, like lack of all this other stuff. Like, it rains, like the whole place becomes like a mud bath. Like it's different like same difference with the problems, but just like different problems. And I don't know, man, like these people were running out of gas waiting in line for Coachella.
Yeah.
And then once the gates actually officially opened, apparently there was a whole problem about like the cars actually going to the designated proper spots. Like, people that paid for like privileged parking and stuff weren't able to get the spots that they paid for because the attendants on the spot were just like in a frenzy over everything, that they just basically corralled people in, just like made them park and there was a lack of like coordination apparently logistically with like the parking and all that stuff. And then I don't know, all I've really heard is like the parking and the firework thing, for what it's worth.
I mean, just the parking thing alone, it's strange because I mean, the festival has been happening for how many years? Like,
right, let's see,
I think that they would have those sorts of things figured out, unless I don't know how much
it was in 1999.
How much have these things grown? Like, But again, how many
1999.
how many people go to Coachella a year? Is it over
So
100,000?
good question. Let's see. Attendance at Coachella 2025. Let's see. How many people are at Coachella 2025? More than 250,000 people.
My God, that's a lot of fucking people, dude.
Now, attendance at Woodstock 99 was literally a suggested thing that just popped up. Approximately 220,000 people. All right. So that's not far off. Right. That's like an approximate difference of 30,000 people attending. Like, yeah, 220,000. 220,000 at Woodstock 99, and then 250,000 allegedly at Coachella 2025.
Dude, 250,000 people. That's so many people. Okay. Also, I'm looking up.
Yeah.
The weekends are different prices. That's strange. But the general admission was $650 for weekend 1 or $600 for weekend 2.
Ooh,
That's
is that just? I'm seeing $499 plus fees for the weekend tier 1 and weekend 2. Oh wait, no, I'm seeing those numbers that you're talking about now. I am.
pretty crazy, dude. And wait, does that not include the camping? Then you got to do another 160 for the car camping. Dude, it's insane.
Yeah, so apparently there's a big issue, a big stink coming up where people that, I mean, imagine you paid for like the premium parking, whatever it was, excuse my lack thereof proper research behind this, but imagine that you were in that position and you did not get the parking space that you paid for, which obviously it would be closer, and then you bring it up and so many people are going through this. I wonder what the litigation behind this is going to look like.
Dude, good luck getting your money back, because I was at that EZoo where I got my refund, but it took over a year, dude. It took a year and a half to get back $50 or some shit.
Wait, what? No, please tell.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, and this is why I couldn't remember if the people who run Brooklyn Mirage, the venue, the really big venue. Have you heard of that before or seen that venue?
I feel like I only heard of the Mirage in Las Vegas, but go on, my guy.
So you know the people who run EZoo, they run that place. But EZoo, was it 2 years ago? Something happened where they didn't get the right permits or something like that, so they couldn't build the entire main stage in time for the show and stuff, but they still let all these people in, which is apparently dangerous and all stuff. So they got in all this trouble. They had to shut down Friday. Then Sunday, something happened. They were like over capacity somehow. And so that anyone who came all the way out to the festival was turned away. And like there was all this footage too, like people stormed the gate and just to get in anyway. It was like crazy, dude. But yeah, it just goes to show the crazy things that people do now, and you know, maybe they've always done that, but
so
they're trying to pack everything, and I feel like this is since COVID, right? Like, you know, that they're just so desperate to get way more people in to make the event a success that these important details, like the parking, like, you know, things that are probably very basic logistical things about running the festival should have been taken care of definitely now.
Okay, let's start back from the beginning. So Electric Zoo, right?
Yeah.
And this was which year in specific, if you?
I think this was 2 years ago. Maybe a year and a half, 2023.
Okay, and then the thing is that like, so you got there and wait, it was.
Oh, I didn't go Friday. Friday was like the day that I'm pretty sure they shut it down Friday and Sunday.
So,
but then they also didn't refund anyone. That was the important part too.
But you were in that refund sort of group.
For Sunday, yeah.
So you paid for like a 1 day?
I paid it for a 2-day pass. I went Saturday and Sunday.
But you're saying.
But Sunday we got all the way out there and like couldn't get in.
So apparently you're saying, let me get this straight, Friday and Sunday were mess ups.
Yeah.
So it was like they didn't even operate on those days, or was it shut off halfway
If
through?
you got there by a certain time on Sunday, you got let in. But once they were like at capacity, that was it. They didn't let it. It didn't matter if you had a ticket or not, which means they sold more tickets than there were, capacity for the venue.
What?
Yeah, which is definitely what they do at Brooklyn Mirage too. Like that place it's so packed you can't move around anywhere, and it's crazy, dude.
What is this place? Is this a hotel?
No, it's a venue. Like Google and look what it looks like, because they just built it out. Like it is an insane place, insane sound system. It's on a rooftop in Brooklyn. Definitely amazing shows there, and it's epic. It's like you're on a rooftop out in the middle of like the city. You can see like the skyline and stuff. Awesome. It's actually part of a 4 venue space, but these people, Avant Gardner, I think it's called. And there's King's Hall.
Oh my God. This looks
the Great
ridiculous.
Hall. Yeah. I think the last show I went to there was the Pretty Lights show that was there. He did, 2-night run, or maybe it was 3-night. No, I think it was 2-night. And that got messed up too, because it rained. And it rained crazy, so they couldn't have the show again because it's outside,
So they have a maximum capacity of 6,250 people. Wait, what? Like,
it's
how
a
is
humongous space. It's a humongous space. But I'm telling you,
how humongous is that? If you're looking at like other festivals that have a cap of significantly larger than 6,250, you see what I'm saying?
No, what do you mean?
I mean, that seems like a pretty small venue for an event like Electric Zoo. Like,
no. Electric Zoo didn't happen in there. It happened at Randall's Island. They're just saying the people who own Brooklyn Mirage did the festival.
Oh, wait, what? Oh my God.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm probably explaining this in a very crisscross, zigzagged way. Like the people who run, I forget what the company's name is, but the people who run Brooklyn Mirage, they were the people who were running Izu, because all the after parties too were at Brooklyn Mirage and their venues, other venues, because it's the Mirage is the top, and then they have other venues. It's like they own a whole building. It's like almost like a warehouse kind of building in Brooklyn.
That's why I was wondering. I was like 6,250. What? I'm like, of course it got sold. What? That's literally
no. It's way bigger. It's on Randall's Island in some huge park.
Dude, yeah, expecting the unexpected. Like whether it be Electric Zoo or Bonnaroo or any other festival, like things where it comes to those unprecedented acts of God.
Yeah,
if you will.
Oh yeah, so much crazy stuff, and that's why I feel like these promoters try and do it, because the promotion and the event game is one of a serious amount of risk. You're putting up all this money, and if it doesn't, if these acts of God do happen, like it's sometimes difficult to work all those sorts of things out.
Because you got people like. It's like, hey, if we technically open the gates, then you are able okay, sorry, rewind. I'm a dummy. Basically, on behalf of the people throwing the show, if they open up the gates and get people in, I think it's something along the lines of where it's like they don't have to refund the money. So they're more inclined to open it up, let people in, and then call it off than not doing it at all, because then all of a sudden this bleeds into keeping the money, the stipulations behind the refund policy.
Right. And do they even have the money? You know what I mean? Like the money probably gets spent on things, so
you tell me.
I don't know. I don't know, but I imagine. But it's also a testament to why only humongous companies like Live Nation could possibly shoulder that sort of thing happening. If you're, maybe not to say there wasn't always money back in the day, but I feel like throwing smaller shows back in the day, maybe there was slightly less risk. Shit, maybe there's more risk because the equipment was, not as sophisticated and all that kind of thing. So, the speakers falls on someone or someone the dang gets electrocuted because
God forbid. Yeah.
There's just so many risks to that game. But it sucks that really what it comes down to is the risk is being put back to us, the consumer, and the artist, which is, kind of messed up because, they're the artist.
I mean, dude, there's so many examples to bring into play about every little thing that could happen. But so like on the last episode, I was explaining with my guest Tank, I was like, dude, like what would it take to basically like surmount this issue? Like, and to my imagination, I was like, I mean, it would take somebody with like a lot of money putting forth like a big effort to a huge shift in the industry. Like imagine, for example, like what I'm trying to say, somebody with a lot of money being, for example, somebody like Elon Musk. All right. Hypothetically, he is, I believe, rich enough and clouty enough to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to incept a whole nother ticket sales platform and shift everything over so that all this stuff about scalping, like, hey, would you rather go with Ticketmaster or would you rather go with like this other option where, the ticket scalping issue has been circumnavigated somehow in this hypothetical. And then everybody would go to that one and then it would leave the other one extinct.
I mean, to that end, it makes me think that it's hard to believe there hasn't been some other solutions, or like I'm trying to rack my brain to think of like what other things have people done. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, this is what I'm trying to say. It's like I don't know either, man. And like the thing about like the executive order that Trump signed with Kid Rock, it's like, yeah, the issue is being addressed, but it all of a sudden boils down to so many like sub layers of like specifics, and it boils down to an individual state legislation apparently, and like this complicates things.
Going on a tour, obviously, tons of different states. Now you have to handle the ticketing completely different across the whole thing. That's just complicating it more, really.
Yeah, it seems like intentionally complicated, but so that's just that. But maybe we can set that aside now that we've kind of covered that for a decent amount of time and get more like back on with how we're doing personally. So what's new in your realm, my guy?
Oh man, there's been a bunch of new stuff happening. I took the Cosmic Academy class and joined their community in November of last year, and that was really awesome. Been really enjoying that. Learned a ton. I've just met like a bunch of really cool people, a bunch of really talented, hustlers out there. So that's always been pretty cool. And then I've been doing a mentorship with Tomas. He runs Danio Management, who manages like Father Funk and K-Lab. And so I've been working together with him to just learn more and expand my knowledge about industry and being an artist and stuff. So that's been pretty cool, although that's about to come to an end. Let's see, I think I have 2 classes with him left. So yeah, just been kind of in a learning phase, kind of, and but really just getting back on track with making tracks and just being an artist and all that sort of thing. It's been a little challenging lately because just work. I work at Juilliard doing their audio visual has been, it's a pretty busy job. So, but thankfully in the summer I get a little bit more time, so I'm like getting pumped to get into a ramp it up and really make some more tracks and just making as much music as I possibly can, because I feel like I need a new fresh batch of songs and stuff to play live. So kind of really been not starting from scratch, but just kind of at the beginning of a new phase, you know?
I feel that 1,000%, dude. It's like, yeah, we had the new year roll around just about 4.5 months ago, and that sort of does a thing to somebody mentally, like, oh yeah, like fresh start, like, you know, I'm on the same boat, you know. So you like covered basically like 3 things right there between Cosmic Academy, the other mentorship thing that you're going through with the guy that manages Father Funk and K-Lab, and then also the Juilliard work. How long did that Cosmic Academy sort of a curriculum last?
Oh, dude, it's so intense.
I mean,
it's 4 or 5 weeks of, let's see, you have, was it 2 classes a week? But they're like super long. It's like you have 1 production class and 1 like music business class. But they're super long classes. They're like 4 hours long or something like that. So it's like intense. They call it boot camp. So
yeah,
you know, they're trying to take someone from any base of knowledge, you know, and trying to bring everyone kind of to a similar place of all the basic stuff. So it's pretty intense. Like, you know, even for myself, I found some of it to be pretty intense, and I've been fucking at it for a long time, you know? So I was like, damn, for someone who doesn't know this other stuff, this is a lot of information. But it was great. It's great that it's a lot of information. And, you know, they tell you that, you know, it's about being a part of their community, because that's just kind of the beginning. After that, there's a whole bunch of other, you know, things that they all do together as a group to help each other grow and just make more music. Like, they have a bunch of feedback sessions that have been pretty cool. Everyone gets together and we all just, you know, give each other feedback on our music. And to me, that's been like a super vital part, because I for a long time, I feel like it was hard to get good feedback, or I've taken even more responsibility for myself recently and been like, I had a fear of putting a lot of things out there, especially like incomplete things, you know. Like, I really learned how much of a perfectionist I could be when it came to that. So that's why this fresh start that's been happening has been kind of great, because I feel like the next bunch of stuff that I'm going to do is going to be really like kind of new and different, you know, just trying to be true to my own sound. And I feel like I've reached a good place where I understand what works for me and what doesn't work for me, but getting the feedback from, you know, consistently on tracks and giving people feedback, like learning how to listen to someone's song and give it constructive criticisms, or, you know, is also vital in learning how to analyze your own songs, right? And kind of become more objective about things, because I feel like it's such a weird seesaw in the beginning when you don't know anything. You're so excited about whatever, and so much stuff comes out, right? And then you have these you have enough songs flop and just not work, and you start to learn why it doesn't work over time. Like, oh, I've tacked way too many parts in this part, it's confusing, like you know. And so once you learn those things, but then as you learn more, it becomes more difficult because your filter is way more intense. So when you go to sit down, you're like, fuck, does this suck? Am I just doing that thing? And it's almost like you need to learn how to turn it on and off. And so maybe that's where I've learned how to start to do that at least a little bit more, or just give it way less of a shit about, okay, well, if it sucks and sounds like shit, like, that's part of the process, right? Like, yeah, and show it to some people, and at least I know, and you can trust that these people are not going to just be like, oh, that shit just sucks. It's like, okay, like, I can handle criticism, but like, why does it suck? And that's why I like their feedbacks, because they really make a point to say, like, tell the person how they can improve it. If you can't really tell them how to improve it, then like, you're not really helping them any. You're just kind of tearing it down. So I love that, because it's again, learning how do we put positive spin on things, and how do we actually help people learn to improve. Because once you personally see, okay, every time I'm getting this kind of feedback, now I know that's something I need to go check out. And I wanted to make some new content about this, but referencing, because it's the most hurtful thing to reference, right? I feel like you unless you start with a reference at the very beginning, which I feel like I can't write that way. Can you write that way?
Well, it's like I can, but do I want to? No, I was instructed. I went through an online program as well, and I was hesitant, and I went through a similar sort of regiment where, yeah, it's like criticize and be criticized, like constructively. And, and it's such a serious reality check because my ego didn't even really want me to sign up for the course because I was like, well, I feel like I'm doing good. But then actually, guess what? I really sat and thought about it, and I was like, I had a serious ego check. I was like, you know what? No, I'm not too good for instruction. And then once I signed up and everything and like started to see where everything kind of was with the curriculum and like the students and my own sort of output, it was like, oh wow, like I felt like I created a really good song that really was like pushing something for me personally, sonically. And then it kind of just did not, I felt way too excited for it versus like, basically just it seemed to just kind of be like a whatever track. Like the song that I came up with, it's out on all streaming platforms. It's called Kick Back, and it was kind of like whatever. And since then I've gotten better, and it was important to go through that process and be humbled and experience that. But at the same time, it is like exactly everything that you're talking about as well, with like, wow, like the self-critique, like the going through. I encourage some people to sign up with a reputable course like Cosmic Academy, or I did the bass mentorship fast forward program with Sean, aka Sticky Fangas. Anyways, it's one of those things where it's like, you got to just learn how to be productive and know skills and just execute and really not hold yourself back, dude. It's such a serious thing. Like, I am not above that. I hold myself back as well, and I'm trying to get better at that as well.
Well, I mean, that's always been the game, right? We're all in a battle against ourselves, 1% better every day. But it's funny because, as you were saying, like the humbling experience, and the thing is you need that experience as any creative person who wants to show their art to the world anyway, and who wants to do that and live an artist's life, because that is going to be 99% of the fucking experience. Is show you something, it's not received the way you thought it was. You have an emotional attachment to it, and maybe that's also kind of on that seesaw, like I was talking about before. In the beginning, you love to get emotionally attached to the song and all that. In the end, you start to realize that that's actually a detriment to you, because A, it's probably slowing down the process, and B, it's hurting the decision making, which I think that's kind of what you were alluding to and what you were saying for yourself as well, is don't hold yourself back, don't hold back the decision making. Because like, whether you're making the right decision or not, like, you're never going to know that unless you take the action and move forward and go and do that. And so in the beginning, I think it's a lot easier to do that. And as things have moved on, I'm like, now maybe it's not harder. It's just more calculated, or it's more, I don't know. Calculated sounds like such a sinister word for something that's
it's like
making something that's expressive and emotive or something, But
like you try to calculate it to be more easy for yourself. Like, hey, how can I make this an easier experience for me now, knowing all this stuff? All right, I'm going to calculate it to be like, hey, guess what? I'm going to set this work of flow up to be conducive. Like, hey, guess what? I'll lay out like 8 bars of drums, and then sit there and sear them and start doing some design, like some sound design with the things that I've learned. It can so easily be obscured by like a big catalog of like knowledge and being like, oh, I could do this, or I could do that, or I could do this, or I could do that.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, exactly. The good old analysis paralysis. Oh my God. Yeah, no. And then instead just putting stuff out, like, and going through it just like every single other artist.
it's the process. And then maybe that's what I was saying is your decision making gets easier because, you know, as an artist, you learn yourself more, you learn your sound, you learn the things in your music that work and don't work. You've tried this from this person's song. And that's why referencing, I love it. But like, I can't do it from the beginning of the song. Like once I've made the entire song, then I can go back to it and like, I don't know. I used to try and be like, oh, let me, you know, drag it in here, and cut this, but now it's almost like an exercise in how can I describe the song with words and not necessarily like technical, mathematical, like, you know, this is 8 bars and then this happens and then this is 8 bars. Because when I do that, I feel like my song sounds so mechanical. It doesn't sound like their song where it all flows. Whereas when I do kind of more like what I think you were saying too, which is like, you know, just going with the flow of it and like kind of jamming on something until an idea happens and then arranging it from there. Like that's much more of my process. But the decision making gets easier because you learn your process. You start to actually have a process, and that's how you know when it's time to actually release the thing, right? Like I know once I get into Tweaksville and I've like changed the mix and I have 10 zillion fucking mixes and my, you know, people just, it doesn't really sound that different. I'm like, it does to me, god damn it.
I know, right? No, but it's important for all of other fellow like aspiring music producers to really like, it's so easy to get caught up in the details and like, oh, this 4-bar loop needs to sound like this and then this next one. No, it's like an overall like vibe of the song. And it's like, hey, like try to make it as easy on you as possible. And it's like, it's so easy to lose a vision when you are getting like pitted in the visuals of it. Like, oh, this automation line and this, that, and the third.
Something that's about your ears. I say this all the time, actually, to other people like who I talk to in my class. Like I try to remind them because it's a mistake I made in the beginning so much. Stop using your eyes to mix. Like I get it. You have to look at things, but are you using your eyes to make decisions because you know, oh, I usually, you know, go here, or are you using your ears because you need to do what's right for every song, right? Like
exactly,
and that be something different for each song. And we fall into because of YouTube videos, and I feel like and shit like that where you watch in the tutorial. Of course, is like that's the way they have to explain it is to be technical and actually explain the concept to you, right? But then this is where, again, you over the years you really develop your ears is really what I think a lot of it is too, to be like, I hear what this needs at this moment. Like that's part of the journey of, you know, being an artist or, you know, any sort of artist, not necessarily just musical, but for us musicians, closing your eyes and listening to the shit sometimes, like that's just like that, you know, that should be the most important part of the mixing process. Like, and that's why I say learning to describe the song in not technical terms and learning to be like, this song sounds darker because these elements have this kind of sound, lets you then use that more objective or like I don't know, zoomed out view to then you go and more fill what your details of those things are, but just using the information that you're learning from listening to other people's music. Like you're inspired by, but you're not necessarily like straight up like cutting exactly from it or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And I am inspired by songs that are like simple and effective. Like, oh wow, like this drop really shook me. And it was really just like when you sit there and you listen to it, it's like, okay, really simple drums and then a lot of emphasis on like the sound design, so to say, but it's not even that complicated. It's more or less like you're splitting the listening experience between like, oh, what was done technically to create the synthesis behind the synth, and then what was done like under the hood as far as engineering it in the final printout. And like a lot of the things that I really, really like are so like, it doesn't sound too complicated. It's like, oh wow, like I got like a sub bass like at this LFO rate, and then like a few different like top synths doing these things. And I'm like, man, they make it sound so simple, but it really isn't quite that simple, but it comes across like that's the whole thing, that
it's not complex. And I'm actually thinking of your most recent song, and I was watching the video, but the breakdown of it, and I was like, damn, I thought that there was like a lot more parts to it, but you're like, actually, it's just like this one during the drop, like this one main synth, but that one synth sounds fucking sick. You know what I mean? So like, you don't necessarily need to have tons and tons of different layers. It's, I don't know, how does that sound change over time? It's the changes over time, right, that really make the song interesting, or I don't know, have emotion, or
Exactly. And that song is like part of like the paradigm shift behind like my mode of operation, my MO, like because it's like I'm even to this day, like I've got projects like that I'm still working on where I'm like holding myself back like from still overcomplicating it, where I'm like, like no, take another step back and like understand how to make this sound, this one synthesizer, like milk it for what it's worth, like over a longer period of time, and simplify it, because if it's easier to listen to, it's easier to get down with. And I'm one to always overcomplicate things for myself initially. So
dude, that's so funny you say that. And I think that comes down to, like I was saying before, where in the beginning, right. And maybe when you're newer to things, it's easier to do that because your filter's less. And then, you know, as you go on, it's kind of like you're describing, you're like, no, the sound isn't the right sound. But it's because you start to learn that getting those certain moments where, okay, when this thing drops, since it's on the drop, it has to hit. If it's a weak sound, the song will suck. So, and before you used to be like, oh, well, let me just dress it up with these other things. And like, I've really started to learn that it's like, no, how do I make these certain elements just work, right? Because what does every song come down to? It comes down to a couple different parts. It comes down to the chords, right? Or like the
melody.
The chords, the melody. I was going to say like the musical content and the rhythmic elements, right? So the more you keep adding and adding to that, you're just making it like way more complex and harder to remember, essentially, right? And like that, I feel like that's kind of the crux of, but most amazing part about dance music is it's so the melodies and stuff are not complicated. It's not necessarily a complex in that sort of way. Like it can be complex. How do all these little pieces fit together and make this whole, right? But
all right, so we're back. I've been on a kick of canned seltzer water lately, and
canned seltzer water, dude.
Yeah, but the things about the sounds that we use and like what we listen to as references and everything. Like, I mean, I listened to that. Have you listened to the new Skrillex album?
Yeah.
So I take that into consideration as well around these things where it's like, okay, like this is what he's doing right now. The way that he engineers and produces it, it's like, I feel like it's so reduced and simplified. It's quite nice. This album was a little bit different. Also, another producer that came out with something recently. Did you listen to Ahi's new EP?
Ooh, no, but I do like his stuff, so I'll write that down, check that out. But there has been an influx of so much new music. I feel like across like electronic music, all different genres, like a lot of new stuff. All this, like Grizz came back and put that thing out, like the Skrillex thing. I don't know. Black Tiger Sex Machine had a new EP. Rusko put a new thing out, right?
What?
Who was that? Flux and someone else put out an entire compilation. Hold on, I'm trying to look it up. Yeah, Dr. P and Flux. 15 songs, dude. And it's not hating on the Skrillex thing, but it's not like the Skrillex thing where like these are actually full songs.
Oh yeah, no, I know, right?
And there was a lot of good ones on there too. I really liked the Turbo Time. You've probably heard that one. And I think some of these came out like a while ago though too, like were released as singles. But yeah, because this album came out March 27th, so 2 or 3 weeks ago. But Turbo Time was sick. We Don't Give a Fuck was a great song.
Yeah, I have not heard these.
Vegamite, I think I like that one too. Yeah, but there's just been so much. Like I'm trying to see here again too. What else? Oh, the Ganja White Knight put a new album out. Like it was crazy. I don't know if it's just because festival season's coming up, and so it's the spring, and I feel like less music gets released in those kind of winter months, and people wait to put out their stuff. Also, like, just crazy, so many albums have come out. Like, are people shifting back away from singles, and or is it just because those are all like established artists that can do that?
Right. I think it's a little bit of both. Yeah. The latter immediately hit me where it's like, hey, those people, they've probably been releasing singles. And I mean, look at it. Even Grizz, he is so prolific, but like the bangers out, like the bangers EPs, those are really just like 5-ish songs, and it hits like an album, even though it's as short as an EP.
Yeah.
And he's done so many of them too. Like
well, those songs, I feel like the songs on that are all, again, like way shorter. Those are all like a minute and a half, or like, but I guess dubstep songs usually aren't, they're not terribly long.
Yeah. And like how
like an average song I would say is more in the 3.5 to 4 minute range, right? So like a 2-minute song,
but you're really
easier to get streams on it and shit, you know what I mean?
Let's be real, as a DJ, it's like you don't play out the whole song anyway.
Exactly. You're only playing what, 30, maybe 40 seconds or something. Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
But that's probably very genre dependent, because if you play techno or trance music, those really long buildups, you might be playing much, much longer things.
Valid point. And it boils down to the DJ, because you can make, I don't know, depending on how well you can finesse a DJ controller and how skilled you are at it, like, I don't know. Some people are better than others. Like, I just recently saw this thing from a DJ. Apparently, he's like a big house DJ, like trancey type of DJ named Masa Man, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, let me look this up really quick, because I saw a video of him. Basically, it looked like a DJ competition type of thing, where this dude was like destroying the turntables with like how much he was cutting it up. And then like I looked at his other stuff, and it was like he produced like long form kind of types of songs, and it was like the best of both worlds. Like, this dude could chop just like a competitive DJ, like a turntablist. But I'm trying to pull him up really quick. I'm trying to find what I was talking about. And that I admire, like somebody who it's not just one thing. Like, beg my pardon.
Yeah, all good, dude.
Oh my gosh, I'm going through my legs because I want to send you this thing, and I'm not finding it, but I will find it eventually. I probably saw it on the band account, but yeah, dude. Props to like DJs that can basically just turn regular stuff into crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the true art of DJing, is it not? Like,
I mean, it is. And with the way things are these days, like I remember seeing a video where it's like some chick, and she had on like this, like some sort of like X-Man thing where it like shot lasers and it like out of the eye area. And she was like behind a DJ controller, but really wasn't doing anything with the controller. It was really just like, look, like, this is DJing, like wearing something cool and like not doing much technically on the controller.
Well, sometimes it's about the show, right? It's still the entertainment business. But I hear you. Like, what, she was like some X-Men shit or something?
Yeah, this is just like one of those things that you scroll past and you're just like, what has DJing become? Meanwhile, there are still some really astounding, like raw, talented DJs, but you know, I feel like you and I, we both know how to wield a guitar, and like what we recently were talking about was doing a collab that was guitar oriented.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, bringing back that live instrumentation into EDM all over again.
I love it. And it's funny. I was gonna say, like, I lean into the guitar as like kind of my main part of everything. Honestly, I've realized that over the years. I'm like, that's my thing, you know. So, gotta play to that, you know.
Exactly. And it's important because, yeah, it's like we get lost into the production of synthesizers and modulation and automation, and really, like, if we just take another step back and just put more emphasis on live guitar, you know, we can do something different.
Yeah, totally. And because it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, where, you know, trying to create whatever your specific sound is, but it is challenging because it still needs to fit into somewhere, right? Like, I guess from a marketing sense or whatever, if you want to think of it in that kind of a way, like
the whole thing. You know,
the balancing act there.
Yeah, man. I mean, when it comes to guitar and EDM, like, not a lot of people have really seemed to break through in that. Like, Son Holo is like one of them. I remember knowing his songs first and then seeing that he played guitar as well. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't think that was part of his like shtick. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I have that much more respect for him and relatability. And then like only like maybe a couple others that I can really think of off the top of my head when it comes to incorporating guitar and EDM productions. And one of those is this guy. I think he's from North Carolina. His artist name is Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Pfeiffer.
Yeah, him.
Big fan of him for sure.
Yeah,
and because it makes me think of like Marvel Years is another guy who I think incorporates that well.
Really? I didn't know.
He plays live guitar with all of his stuff. Yeah. And then you kind of look at the way like even like Pretty Lights and some of these other things have gone where they're adding full bands to their setup, which, you know, to me, it's funny because Pretty Lights blew up opening for STS9, which is a band that I love. And I feel like recently I've thought a lot about it. I'm like, you know, I want to incorporate or do like more sort of this kind of thing because like I love to jam, you know, and I feel like jamming with a DJ set doesn't always necessarily work because it's about more rapid changes, right? In DJing, as opposed to a jam is more how can you keep things interesting with the same kind of idea happening over. Maybe it's genre like dependent there too, because I feel like house music can be very repetitive in that kind of way, but bass music is repetitive, but things are over quicker and like, you know, it's kind of like drop to drop to drop. So not that you can't do that, because I think about people like Sullivan King, right? Like he's playing guitar and doing that with his sets, but maybe what I'm saying is some of my influences have been a little bit more varied there from just like DJs. Like I feel like what got me more into it was like STS9, or have you ever heard of a band called Zugma before? They're not they broke up, but because like them, Wax Future, you know, bands that they're like kind of like electronic artists, not necessarily like DJs is kind of how I think of it. And I feel like that's how I've kind of been thinking of myself more recently, like because I don't know. I just, you know, I use this like little launch pad thing. So am I even really like DJing? Not really, because I have decks and I used to use decks, but then I started using sync because it was just too much to be like, I'm in the middle of trying to play a riff and also bring in the next song. Yeah. Like it's a little tough. I need something to do it with my feet. Like whenever they come out with a DJ controller that's for your feet, you know.
Whoa.
Otherwise, you know, I bought this FCB foot pedal thing, but it didn't work with Ableton. So, but I've been meaning to get that so that way I can do more kind of DJing or things like be able to launch clips with my feet and stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure there is a MIDI foot controller called Soft Touch.
Yeah, the Mimilin or something like that, right? Soft touch pedal. Yeah, that's been on the list of items to get. because actually Keith from Wax Future, I asked him, I was like, dude, what do you do? Because it sounds like you're doing all sorts of effects. Like I just DM'd him and he was like, yeah, dude, I'm using this foot pedal. And it's crazy. It has like a freaking D-pad on it, like a controller, right?
Oh, that's got to be, okay, not soft touch, soft step. Yeah, and
Soft step.
and it's got the D-pad on it, like the directional thing. And so that is how you navigate with your feet throughout your Ableton Live set.
Is it? Oh, no, I don't know how it's used, but I would imagine that might be a possibility, and you'd be able to go over the clips and I'd be pressing play on clips or scenes, or you could just MIDI map all of it.
Well, it's both. You know? Yeah, like in the wedding, I'm in a wedding band, and our front man, he uses the soft step to be able to, if he needs to, like override changes. Like he has it MIDI mapped to all sorts of different functions, like backtrack bass versus live bass, because he plays live bass, and like you can do things like like launch new scenes and stuff like this. Like it's
change the tempo, all sorts of things like that.
Creativity is the limit, like when it comes to these mappable things. But yeah, so it's stuff like that, dude. And look at who's doing what. Like the guitar, it's not seemingly that easy because not a lot of people are doing it like that. Like that's why people like you and we're like sitting at the chalkboard and being like, I know I can make this work. It's like exactly how, because your hands are occupied.
Your hands are occupied so much. How do you DJ when your hands are occupied?
Exactly. Like you would have to take a break.
Drum pad, one thing, like someone's playing a drum pad or something like that. Kind of easier. Your hands aren't literally in this like complete, because I'll try and do stuff where I'm doing this and you're just like, oh, I'm just trying to do some hammer-ons and pull-offs or something. But
exactly. And when you see people like Pfeiffer DJ, he's using a controller, but it's like, you have to have a clear distinction in between setting up the next song and then getting back on the guitar and doing the parts that you have performed.
Exactly. I feel like exactly like you're saying, it's like, I don't know, it has to be way more planned out. It's less about like feeling the crowd out and more being like, okay, I know these 2 to 3 songs like work really well together of my own songs. How can I mash them? Which kind of makes me think about jam bands, right? Like it makes me think about when you go see the Disco Biscuits, and like if you ever see them at a festival or seen them in multiple cities, they'll start a song in one town and then they'll stop in the middle of the song and it'll morph into whatever other song they're doing. And then like days later or at the end of the festival, they'll go right back to where that song was, where they had stopped it and finished the song. And like I think the Grateful Dead and other jam bands do that too, but it's like a jam band thing to do. So like, I feel like that's kind of how more I think about things. I don't necessarily do that, but like, how can I mash these songs together and even bring back other ideas and like motifs and stuff like that? Almost like in musicals, like they have like the same musical idea happen throughout different songs and like things, because it has a different feeling in these different parts, right? Or they like reprise the shit at the end of the show or something like that.
Exactly. Nothing's better than like a well done callback of sorts.
Yes.
I actually found out about a new sort of DJ guitarist, and that is Vincent Antone.
Yeah. Like that guy's stuff a lot. Actually, I opened for him on this virtual show, it was during COVID, but yeah.
What?
I opened
show?
Yeah, like we had, since it was during COVID, everyone just recorded a set and they sent it all in. It was this company, Sober AF. I think they're based out of Denver.
Okay.
Had a whole show and I forget who also played with me. I opened, then it was someone else, and then it was Vincent Antone, and he was playing out at this like dock. Him and this dude was playing drums, and it was super funky. It was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I've been digging on his stuff hardcore.
He came to a local venue here in Charleston called the Poorhouse, and I went out to this show like last moment with my lady. It was Future Joy opening up, which is like basically a husband and wife. The husband plays saxophone and the wife sings.
Cool. Yep, I know them too. They're good. Yeah. They're good. They're super funky.
Yeah, they were good. And then Vincent Antone after that. And that was my first time seeing both of them. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like he did a good job. And, you know, as you sit there and watch somebody do something that you're like working out, kind of, you're just like, I would do it way better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to be a critic. It's so easy.
I know exactly what you mean. But it's funny you say all that, because like definitely been referencing his music. Like, okay, like, you know, what are the elements of these songs, and how does he weave them all together in this such cool way? I like his sound design a lot too. And kind of a side note, but listening to his stuff and listening to some other people, and going back to kind of the complex verse, to reprise that idea, like once you develop some of your own sounds, like you don't have to sound design like 10 zillion things. It's like once you have some of your own sounds, and like that's why I feel like one thing I wanted to try and get into more is really working on building my own sounds. But I always feel like I make it and I'm like, I don't know, you know, is it good? Is it not good? And then the reference, I'm like, damn it.
Seriously, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. Like it sounds so simple when you go to reference the reference track, and then you're just like, okay, so a different sub bass from my top synth, or should I have them both in the same patch? Like, do I LFO the sub differently than the top bass, or like how weird am I trying to go with this? And what exactly is gonna funkify the funk that I want to funk?
Exactly. Yeah,
it's a work in progress, as we know.
It is a work in progress, yeah. And so yeah, but definitely been digging on a bunch of those artists and stuff like that. Definitely super funky. I feel like it's been a really good time for like some funky stuff, because I don't know. I guess I feel like maybe the genre hasn't developed quite in the same way as some of the other genres that have like blown up super humongous, you know, like. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's 10 million dubstep DJs, but like back in the day, I would go and try and search, like, okay, how are they making these sounds like grammatic and stuff? And there'd never be any videos about any of that. It'd be about how do you make like the crunchy song, like Zomboy shit or something, right? But like making stuff like some of these other artists would be like, damn, I can never find any of these like tutorials and stuff.
Yeah, it's like they're a one step ahead of the game, and then that's where you're like, I need to be one step ahead of the game too, and then therefore now I have to become Stephen Hawking on Serum, and then guess what? They just released another Serum. Word! Now I have to like.
Have you gotten into Serum too? Yeah,
I have not yet. I'm like, let me get like the stuff that's on my plate done, and then I'll be ready to take that on.
I feel that, dude. Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
I always have that superstition about like, once I upgrade, then it's going to mess up all my works in progress. And like, does it save the presets from like Serum 1 to Serum 2? Like, how compatible are these? And like all this stuff. I'm just like a little bit too superstitious. Yeah. Feel like I will get to Serum 2. I know I will. It's just let me get done with all this stuff, and I'll get to that stuff.
Yeah, I've been completely reorganizing my entire library, because like taking the Cosmic class, I realized one thing that was slowing down my decision process for me seriously was that everything's like a huge mess. Like I never had a folder. Like the way things were organized was just not making sense to the way that I actually make music. So I've been trying to go through that, but that's like, I keep saying to myself, I keep seeing all these new things I want to download and get. I'm like, you got to hold up, because until you sort through, like 2 or 3 people have given me their libraries, you know, like I've swapped just a lot of sounds with other people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, this is not only all my stuff, but all their stuff. And then some of it, I'm like, are these sounds just antiquated? And am I ever even going to actually use this? Like I made a video. It's like, how many kick drum sounds do I really need? You know, like
not that
I have hundreds and hundreds of fucking kick drums. And it's like, why? I end up using the same like 10, maybe 10.
Exactly. Like, thank you. They put all this stuff out, and it's just like, no, I just want the perfect kick and the perfect snare. But yeah, so Oh my
I'm going
God.
through the library like, wow, okay, are these even that different too? Shit, man.
At the end of the day,
Good.
no.
No.
But I've got a phone call I got to make in about 20 minutes, and I think that this has been a pretty awesome episode so
Yeah,
far, man.
yeah, man. Yeah, we've talked about a whole bunch of stuff, dude. I mean, we always have great chats, dude.
Yeah. Let's be real. It's always a good time. That's why I was eager to have you on for part 2, and I'm glad you were able to be a part of this on short notice.
Yeah,
Seriously, man, I'm trying to get back with everything and get my head in the game more than ever this year. And I know you are as well. That's why we stick together.
Yeah, absolutely,
Keep each other
dude.
up to snuff. And I appreciate that. So like what I sent you that one demo, and that was like a demo I kind of made like earlier in the year. And I was just like, it was really like a shot at going into a new direction, like with guitar heavy stuff. And so I know for a fact I can do better than that, even though it's like, it is what it is. It was a first shot at it. And I want us to come up with something like fun and easy to make and simple and effective. So I'd say let's start a new project file, and kind of switch off drops or something like that. You know.
Oh, I love that idea. Yeah, I wish we could be in the same place because I mean, I don't know about you being a guitar player. I'm sure like the way you came up and making music was more like you get together with a bunch of people and you have to like, if they have to get the drummer together and a bass player, or at least a drummer, right? Like someone's got to be holding the beat. Could I always find a bass player? I don't know. But so the way I wrote was always with someone in the same room where we're playing, we're noodling, we're like fucking around, where like there's an energy happening in the moment. Like,
exactly.
I think that's one thing about current music making that makes me like kind of sad is that element is a lot harder to achieve, and that was such an important part of my process for such a long time. I mean, I'll jam with my fucking self all damn day, but I just don't write beats quite as well as someone who like actually plays the drums,
Exactly. That's been lost in this whole sort of progression of like music to be more digital and stuff. And that's where it sort of hindered my productivity, because I'm like, wait, like, okay, now I got to like jam to, drums that are off the laptop. And I don't know, it just changed everything all of a sudden. And it's like, I feel like an old head trying to get with the new stuff. And I'm like, back in my day, we used to actually meet in the same room.
Oh my God, dude.
A cool sort of compromise that I've yet to see like really established out there is like, if we were to both be able to sign into the same Ableton project remotely and see like both of our mouses like moving around and doing stuff simultaneously.
Yeah.
And being able to like live chat.
It doesn't work good on Zoom. Like I've tried to do it and I'm like, am I pushing the button correct? Like, there's a lot of room for improvement in that sphere, I believe. Like if Ableton can launch like a thing where it's like other Ableton users and like you go into the website and they host like a live sort of platform where you both sign in and you both work on the project and it both updates on both of y'all's computers, like right,
that kind of thing. That'd be sick.
That would be super sick. But again, I mean, thinking in my own mind, like music's meant to be played with each other, and like. Exactly. And one other thing that kind of stems off that too is that like now when I sit down to make music, it's always for a purpose. Like so much less time is spent, and maybe it's just, I don't know, like having less time in general to spend. Like, but back in the day when you were playing with a band, you were just playing, right? Like it wasn't always necessarily to like make a song up, or like, I mean, if you were in a band, maybe you were rehearsing and stuff like that, but that time to just goof off and like do nothing was so important for creativity, and then for like just being a fucking person and trying to like let stuff out and letting yourself be imperfect, right? And letting like jams be imperfect. Now like we're recording, we're like sitting at a laptop, we're recording everything in, right? And we're keeping all this information, and it's like with the maybe it's just me. I'm always like, okay, well, how can I use this later? Is this, and maybe that's just where I'm at with the journey. But I missed like making just music for fun and not making it for like any sort of purpose, just for the moment, just for like being a fucking rock star, just because that's what you do. You just play fucking guitar because doing that is what makes you happy. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. We got to strip it back to that and like just be innocent with our creation and not like, because it's you are addressing a very important point in like the intention behind these things where it's like I find myself going through the same thing, and I want to open up Ableton and just feel free and not like, oh, I'm going to make a banger. Like, no, like, I want to make just something that is like, I just want to make something that's original and it like, yeah, like less expectations and seriousness and just more seriousness about being fun and innocent with it.
Yeah. Playful. Like it's like Alan Watts quote. I love that one where he's saying, you don't work the piano, you play the piano, and like music's supposed to be about play and fun. And yeah, so I guess I'm saying that even like what's the guy in Spotify, right? He's like, oh, music's not fun to make anymore. Was that the Spotify guy or someone else? Did you see that quote? It was like a meme floating around the internet where it's like, oh, people. No, it was about AI making music. It was like, oh, well, people, they don't even want to make music. It's too difficult. It's hard to learn. But it's like, what? That's the whole point of the craft, is that it's hard. And that's the journey to mastering something. And that's like part of the process that you can't just get the reward at the end of like being able to have these skills and hearing a song that you made and you put that time and like thought and you... At the heart of it, right? You had an idea in your head and turned that into something in the physical realm. Like, to say all those things is like completely missing the point.
I know, and it hurts way much more when people like the AI more, like with the art and everything. Like, oh, I can just like chat GBT like a thing, and that is ruining graphic designers like lives by the moment. Like, it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, dude, like. We went through this the last time we talked about AI, dude.
Talking about AI, it's just still such a pertinent topic, dude. The tools are getting insane. Like, I don't know, looking at the new Ableton, it's like push a button and it make it for you. It's like, what the fuck is the point of I think that's what we were talking about last time was Ableton. So, but it's crazy, dude. Have you actually had ChatGPT like listen to your song and give you feedback on it? You can like upload your song. You can upload videos and have it critique it for you. Yeah.
Oh my God, no, I have never even visited the website.
Wow. Hey, it can be a useful tool.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, I just never found myself like. I just haven't. I haven't passed that threshold yet because I'm so anti.
Oh, like, I didn't know you were so anti.
Well, I really, honestly, yeah, no, I don't. I'm not gonna hate. I just personally don't. I haven't been ready to step into that yet, man. It's just like it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm still just trying to master what I know, and then now you throw a whole nother thing at me. I don't even think I have time for that yet. Like, I don't know.
Well, but that's the whole point, is it's supposed to save time, but I understand the qualms.
Yeah, so I guess more on that later.
Weird, strange new future.
Yeah, more on that on our next episode, but
yeah, totally.
I do need to sign off here. I want to make sure that first off, we get a proper goodbye in. And any last things you'd like to say? I want you to plug your socials and anything that you want to plug right now.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, honestly, I don't really have super ton to plug, but check me out at Hippie Trap, HIPPIETRAP on Instagram and TikTok. That's where I'm mostly at. And yeah, just check out some of my videos. I've just been putting a bunch of new content out. So working on some new tunes, but gonna have some new production tutorials and stuff like that. I got a bunch of ideas that I have in the works. So just would love to check that out and connect there. I also have a playlist too, so that I've been doing. So any up and coming artists, or anyone who's got like a new song coming out, like, would love for you to send me your new track so we can put that up there and help some more ears hear it.
I love that movement that you're doing, and I super appreciative and honored that you included For the Ravers on that. And I found out awesome other music in the process in that video, and I was like, dang, this is cool. I'm gonna keep up with that.
Nice.
Props to you on that.
Thanks.
And y'all follow Hippie Trap right now on this journey, and I can't wait to get back on this collab with you. So
by the next one, we'll have something in the works here. So
yeah, like
that's a bet right there, buddy.
Yeah, I want our next podcast to be talking about like the track that we're working on. Yeah, yes. Exactly. So y'all follow Hippie Trap, and I do cordially thank you again, good sir, for joining me on this episode, dude. Seriously.
Yo, thanks for having me again, man. It's always a great time. So till the next one.
The Pursuit of Sound podcast is proudly brought to you in part by our sponsor, Zest Vodka. Zest is designed for people like us who love to have a good time, but without that terrible morning after regret. Okay, Zest started with an idea to make a healthier shot option. The market's flooded with high alcohol, sugar heavy products, let's face it, promoting a culture of excessive drinking. But Zest knows we want a more genuine, transparent, and healthier choice without sacrificing taste or experience. So after Zest studied consumer preferences and existing brands, they dug deep into better ingredients. So Zest boasts proudly half the alcohol content, but don't get us wrong, significantly less sugar and zero artificial additives commonly found in traditional shot brands. All right, crafting Zest Vodka was not about introducing just another shot brand. It's more about sculpting an experience. An indulgence-free drink that upholds the pinnacle of taste and quality. They stand to revolutionize the shot market, guiding it towards a brighter, healthier, and more transparent future. Yes, Zest Vodka. So please join us poolside, surrounded by friends, and enjoy Zest Vodka, crafted for everyone seeking a healthier choice. Drink responsibly.